Hey everyone, this is Anam Chahar. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be discussing the summary of lesson number 9, Madam Rides the Bus, from the book First Flight of Class 10. The story is based on the theme that children are very curious to explore the unknown areas of life around them, and they keenly observe the things that catch their interest. There is also a sub-theme of the story which tells us that life and death are integral to each other. Death is inevitable. So yeah, that's about it. Let's begin. The story describes the long-awaited first bus journey of an 8-year-old girl, Vali, to a town near her village. Vali was an 8-year-old girl. She lived in a village. She didn't have any playmates. So, her favorite pastime was to stand in the doorway of her house to see what all went on in the street. So, as you can see in the picture, her favorite pastime was to stand in the doorway and she used to watch everything which went on in the street. She used to keenly observe each and everything. So she experienced many unusual things as she watched the life outside her home. The most exciting thing for her was the early appearance of a bus that shuttled between her village and the nearest town. After every hour, one bus used to come which used to shuttle between her village and the town. This bus would come every hour. Vali used to wait for the arrival of the bus, and when the bus came, she would keenly observe the bus and its passengers. While doing that every day, she developed a desire for riding the bus. She wanted to travel in the same bus. Whenever the bus passed her house, she looked at the passengers and dreamt of having a bus ride as soon as possible. But she didn't know how to do it. She had never traveled in a bus before. So, in order to gain some information about the bus, she listened to the conversations between her neighbors and other people who frequently traveled on that bus. She used to ask them a lot of questions to know about their experiences and thus gathered sufficient information about how to ride a bus. So, majorly, she came to know about 4 things. First, she learned about the approximate distance between her village and the town. Second, she learned about the time that the journey between the village and the town took. Third, she also learned about the amount charged for one-way fare. And then the last, she also came to know that if she took 1 o'clock bus and returned on the same bus without going here and there, if she returned on the same bus, she could be back home by about 2:45 p.m. After getting all this information, she made detailed plans and calculations to fulfill her desire to ride a bus. One fine spring day, Vali sneaked out of the house without her mother's knowledge. Sneaking out means secretly moving out of the house without telling anyone. So without her mother's knowledge, she sneaked out of the house and she took the bus. Seeing a small girl alone, the conductor offered to help her, but a confident Vali declined the offer. She refused. She gave him the bus fare that she was carrying and got into the bus. The conductor was amused by her actions. He jokingly called her Madam and asked the other passengers in the bus to make way for her. So why did he call her Madam? Because although she was just 8 years old, but she talked like a grown-up person. And she didn't show any hesitation while talking to him. So, seeing her pride, her overconfidence, he called her madam. Everybody was looking at her. She became the center of attention. So Vali felt shy and quickly she walked to a vacant seat. Her first bus journey. This was her first bus journey. After sitting in the bus, Vali carefully observed each and everything. She was very excited. The bus was new and its outside was painted white with yellow with green stripes. She looked curiously at everything. The outside view was not clear. It was half cut off because of the canvas covering the lower part of the window near Vali's seat. So she stood up to have a good look at the outside world. She observed everything carefully. The gentleman sitting next to her advised her to sit down, otherwise she would hurt herself, because like I said, her view was cut off because the lower part of the window was covered with the canvas, so she was standing on her seat. So when this man advised her to sit, she felt very irritated and annoyed. She snubbed him immediately. She didn't listen to him and she kept looking outside. And one elderly woman also tried to talk to her. This woman was chewing betel nut. Betel nut means supari. So Valli didn't talk to her because she found her very ugly and repulsive. She didn't make any friends. She didn't talk to anyone much. She only enjoyed her view outside and she was just enjoying her first ride. Although she was only 8 years old, but she didn't like to be treated as a child. She didn't like to be addressed as madam also. She made this quite clear to the conductor and her co-passengers with her expressions. Like I said, when the elderly women, they were trying to talk to her as a child, they were treating her like a child, so she didn't like it and she felt very annoyed. Valli insisted upon standing on her seat, but later on she sat down for fear of losing her seat to other passengers. So in the bus, other passengers were also coming. They had started getting into the bus. So she thought she might lose her seat. So after a while, she sat down on her seat. While riding the bus, Valli enjoyed the sight of trees and fields passing by. But what interested her the most was a cow running in the middle of the road in front of the bus. At last, the cow moved off the road and soon the bus reached the town after crossing the railroad gate. There were many shops there. There were many decorated shops with a lot of items to sell. All this made this little girl Valli very happy. So she thoroughly enjoyed her trip. It was her first trip, especially alone. She had never moved out of her house alone and it was her first bus ride. So she thoroughly enjoyed her trip. After some time, the bus came to a standstill. It stopped at the bus station. All the passengers except Valli got off. When the conductor asked her why she wasn't getting down the bus, she told him that she would not go anywhere. She would go back to her village in the same bus. So she took out another 30 paise from her pocket to pay the fare for her return journey. The story was written a long time ago. So in those days, 30 paise was a good amount. It was a good sum. So she took out 30 paise from her pocket and she gave the fare to the conductor for her return journey. During the return journey, the conductor gave her the ticket and asked her if her mother would worry about her and look for her. Vali responded that no one would be looking for her. Vali enjoyed her return journey by looking at the same sights, the trees, the fields, etc. She was very happy, she was very amused. But then, an unfortunate incident happened. She had a bad experience that she hadn't expected at all. She saw that the same cow that had run ahead of the bus during her ride to the town, was lying dead by the roadside. After seeing the dead cow, Valli was filled with sadness. The sight of the dead cow, who was alive just a little while ago, left her shocked. This sad incident spoiled her excitement. She no longer wanted to look out of the window and remained stuck to her seat till the bus reached her village at 3:40 p.m. After a brief talk with the conductor, Valli got down the bus. When she reached home, she found one of her aunts who was very talkative, talking to her mother. They were talking casually. Valli's mother was saying that it's not possible for the ladies like them to know everything that happened outside. Since they were always at home, they hardly came to know about anything, the happenings of the outside world. Even when they come to know about certain matters, they couldn't understand them fully. So when Valli heard this, she responded to her mother's observation by saying, "Oh yes." This surprised both her mother and her aunt. When Valli heard to her mother saying that we never come to know what happens in the outside world, Valli excitedly, she said, "Oh yes." And when her mother and her aunt heard her, they were surprised. When her mother asked her to clarify, she just smiled mysteriously. She didn't say anything. She didn't explain herself that why did she say, "Oh yes." But she smiled mysteriously. Obviously, she couldn't tell her mother about her experience because she didn't tell her before going, to the town. So she didn't want to disclose her secret. But why she was smiling mysteriously? Because, like I said, she had just had a first-hand experience of an event related to the sudden end of life. Just a while ago, she had seen the same cow running for her life ahead of the bus, and now it was found lying dead. So Valli realized the mystery of life and death. She realized that anything can happen anytime, but sitting at home, we never come to know about it. So having all these things in mind, she agreed with her mother that so many things happen in the world without our knowledge. So this new experience makes Valli a wiser person, right? That's all about it. That's about the chapter. So if you like the video, if you found it useful, then please subscribe to my channel. You can also leave a comment. Thank you.